Hola, hola, bienvenidos. Welcome to La Nation's Golazo today. I'm your host, Francisco X Rivera. So glad that you can join us. The CONCACAF Nations League quarterfinals have given us everything we love about international soccer. Thrills, surprises, plenty of drama. Let's dive into all the action, starting with the U.S. clash against Jamaica. And with that, I want to welcome my compa Marcelino Ortiz. ¿Cómo estás, hermano?
Very good. Happy to be here back at the Latin Nation Golazo today. We had great games this week. CONCACAF, UEFA, Nation League, CONMEBOL, the final for the NWSL. A lot of action. I'm very happy, very excited. Let's go.
Perfect. Let's do this. Well, let's start with the U.S. facing Jamaica, a quarterfinal clash that seemed to be a little challenging for the U.S. Let's not forget that Jamaica has reached 2 Gold Cup finals in the last 8 years. So a team that's always challenging in CONCACAF, but this time around, no problem in this new stage for Mauricio Pochettino.
I mean, it's clear that the team is reacting positively to what Pochettino wants. Very few sessions of training, and we're starting to see the results. Of course, they went to the first leg playing in a field that was, below the level of the conditions that you would like for an organized, long strokes, big passes. But it was more of an attitude that the U.S. team needed to prove. There were key moments of the team. The U.S. dominated possession, clearly, 65%. Yunus Musa, stunning 25-yard goal. You're starting to see this trust, this confidence in the players, and that comes from the coach. I'm very excited to see what they can achieve because clearly they're the best team in CONCACAF right now.
Well, how about the front four, if we can call it that? Yeah. Mauricio Pochettino is using McKinney, is using Yunus Musa on one side, Tim Weah on the other wing, and Ricardo Pepi up front. I mean, Ricardo Pepi is a guy that I covered a lot. I did a lot of his games in 2021 when he was with Dallas before he went to Europe. A guy that could be streaky, but when you talk about number 9, I think you have to be streaky. You're going to go under those long spells where you can't score to save your life, but at the same time, when you're hot, you're hot. And Ricardo Pepi especially demonstrated that for Dallas in the second half of the 2021 MLS season. That's how he managed all that attention in Germany, then in the Netherlands. So very happy to see what Pepi is doing as a striker that the U.S. definitely needed. There's so many failed attempts to be elite in the World Cup. I mean, going all the way back, I guess, to 2014, that game against Belgium, that amazing journey with Tim Howard. But they really hadn't had that squad after missing in 2018. Yeah. I think this could be the time, finally, for this U.S. talent to develop.
I mean, it's clear. If you see the roster that this team has right now, the amount of players that are competing at the highest level in Europe, we have Pulisic at the forefront. You're talking about this new attack, right? 16 shots compared to 9 from Jamaica. You clearly see that this team was talking business. They wanted to move forward. They wanted to be vertical. The pass accuracy, 92%. A team that the quality of their players playing at Serie A, the highest levels in all of the British leagues, Spain. It's clear that the roster has everything they need to do a deep run in the next World Cup.
Well, they're going to be in the semifinals now.
Yes.
We are going to be heading to SoFi Stadium, by the way, very close to our Latin Nation studios in Inglewood. So the semifinals will be played there. The final will be played at SoFi Stadium as well. So very excited to go back into that monster of a stadium. But another team that already punched your ticket into the next round, how about Panama? A team that has also been a threat. And then going back to the last 20 years, we talk about Jamaica and their prowess when talking about CONCACAF and having to deal with the monsters with Mexico, the U.S., and now Canada. Panama, the only team not named U.S. or Mexico that has reached the Gold Cup final 3 times in the last 20 years. This time around, I think they can be a strong contender in this Nations League.
It is. They're showing that they had in both games. It was very, very consistent. Costa Rica is not an easy team. They gave up a good fight. But the results are clear. The 1-0 win in San Jose from Panama was critical for them advancing. They had a really good performance from Alberto Quintero, scoring that goal, very tightly contested. Costa Rica struggled in the midfield, completing only 70% of their passes, which at modern football will put you at a disadvantage. And clearly was chasing after the game for most part of the series. Panama will be a really strong opponent in the next round. And as you said, is one of those teams that is a sleeper team. If you get distracted, Panama will make you suffer.
And they now, before, Panama, I think, had a lot of really good players. They now have a superstar in the ranks. Adalberto Coco Carrasquilla, a name that you really have to pay attention to. He's a star in MLS, playing alongside Hector Herrera with Houston Dynamo the last few seasons. He's a guy that can be a leader, that has a lot of drive from midfield into attack, and he's the guy that everyone is looking up for, a guy that's definitely needed for Panama to make some noise in this next round.
The best player in CONCACAF, we were looking at the numbers. Panama had 18 defensive clearances in that game. Like you mentioned, the level in CONCACAF is growing. The players, either the best players in CONCACAF that play in MLS, players that play in Europe, it's clear that the games that used to be, really stuck in the midfield, a lot of physical play, they're starting to evolve. We saw it in the Mexico versus Honduras game. Right. This kid that plays in Celtic, a complete different type of players than we used to have before. So I'm very excited about CONCACAF.
You mentioned Mexico. I love the jacket, by the way. Pretty old school. Love it.
Yeah, right.
Vintage. So let's review what happened in the series between Mexico and Honduras. We have to. And then Canada as well against Suriname. So let's review what happened in those two matches. Well, it's success for Mexico. Mission accomplished at La Bombonera in Toluca. A very different environment than Marcelino. I think that it really helped Mexico to play under a cozy environment. But it was definitely a night to remember for El Tri. And a night that could give him a little motivation, considering the fact that I really haven't seen anything like that recently, especially in the era of Javier Aguirre.
I think definitely the changes to the lineup, Francisco, were critical to the performance of the Mexican team. I think also the bloody images of their coach at the end of the first leg also gave the Mexican team something to unite around and have a purpose to go and try to get the result. Like you said, they've had tremendous success in La Bombonera in the last two games, defeating the United States, breaking a streak of losses against the eternal rival. And now they win a very consequential game. But like you said, I agree. I don't know if that's enough to convince the skeptics of the Mexican team. There was a change, definitely different intensity, new players. I really like that. Like we said in last week, Malagon needed to be the starter keeper, and he did a great job. He showed a lot of temperament in the position. So I'm excited to see if they continue this lineup with new talent, or they revert back to bringing these well-known players that haven't, perform as well as we've want.
They now know their rival in the semifinals. Canada will be facing them, and obviously we talked about the great talent of players like Jacob Schaffelberg, Alfonso Davis, Jonathan David. This team is loaded with talent. It's the best generation by far that Canada has produced when it comes to players. I'm excited to see the matchup. I think it's funny that we say this. Mexico would be favored against Canada 9 out of 10 times in the last 30 years. This is probably a time when Canada might have a little advantage because of what they've shown in the last few years and all the disarray and the turmoil around the Mexico national team, even though then again, there's going to be a majority of Mexicans at SoFi Stadium coming up in 2025. I don't know if that will be an advantage, a home field advantage, like what Bombonera was for El Tri.
Definitely, they're going to be felt, the Mexican presence in the SoFi Stadium. It's a beautiful venue, but like you said, Canada right now, it is probably, to me, the second most consistent team after the United States in CONCACAF. The work that Jesse March is doing as a head coach is impressive. And like you mentioned, they have players at the highest level, like Alfonso Davis, rumored to sign with Real Madrid soon. So Mexico has their work cut out for them. I really hope that Canada, after, walking through their elimination series, 5-0 in the global, I think that Canada is excited to play this game.
So that wraps up our deep dive into the CONCACAF Nations League quarterfinals. They are set to be played in Inglewood at SoFi Stadium. I'm sure they're going to give us more drama, tears for some, and more emotions. But coming up next, we're going to head into Europe for all the latest from the UEFA Nations League. So don't go anywhere. This is Latin Nations Golazo Today.
Chris Cyborg, 39 years of age, Larissa Pacheco. only 30. Cyborg 2 inches taller, equal measurement on the arm reach for these women. Slightly longer legs for Chris Cyborg. Touch of the gloves, and we are underway in our co-main event. Cauliflower.
I don't know, it might be
beautiful. What a level.
big kick.
How did she take that?
Pacheco just ate it.
Wow.
Measured and controlled in her breathing. Oh, nasty left hand snuck over the top for Cyborg. Pacheco, she will literally and figuratively smell blood in the water.
Oh,
here's the guillotine.
Another beautiful takedown, but she put herself right in harm's way. That is tight.
Good short elbow there.
Very nice.
Oh.
Good overhand right there from Cyborg.
That was a solid right hand.
Eating some punches.
Watch the back of the head, Chris. Watch the back of the head. First deep breath I've seen Larissa take in this fight. Just about 10 seconds ago. Nice takedown.
Rolls through onto an ankle, maybe. 15 seconds, and we're going to see some wildness. Yeah, of course
Yes,
we
we
are.
are. Both women landed there. They'll swing away to the final bell here.
9 to 46. I'll have it for the winner by unanimous decision. And now the PFL Superfights Women's Featherweight World Champion, Chris Cyborg.
The legend adds to her legacy. Chris Cyborg.
Welcome back to Latin Nations Golazo today. Estamos de regreso. And now we turn our attention to Europe, where the UEFA Nations League wrapped up its final group stage match day of 2024. So let's break down the biggest games and what they mean for the road ahead. So Marcelino Ortiz, again, that brings a lot of memories from the World Cup in 2006 in Germany. When we talk about Italy and France, we obviously have to bring back Marco Materazzi and the great Zinedine Zidane. Do you remember that?
I do remember that headbutt, the most famous headbutt in the history of soccer. I love it. A piece of history.
That's right. So what do you have to tell us about this last game
First,
between Italy and
I
France?
have to accept failure. I missed on my prediction from last week. I thought that the new youth from Italy and this new, anti-catenaccio play that they are showing will be enough to beat France, but I was wrong. France came with a 3-1 win, very impressive. Adrien Rabiot dominated the midfield. It was impressive. Andrea Cambiaso needed the only goal for Italy, but France has such a great team right now.
Yeah, you know what? When we talk about these two teams, then again, Italy has had success when it comes to the Nations League and obviously in continental tournaments. However, let's not forget they've already missed consecutive World Cups.
Yes.
So they're a team that needs to be hungry. I understand what you're saying about the anti-catenaccio trying to reform the whole thing and the way they've been playing, which was effective for so many years. But then again, Italy, I would say SOS.
They
need
are
some help.
definitely at a moment in the Italian history that they cannot miss another World Cup. It will be unbelievable to think that there's 3 World Cups in a row without Italy. Is one of the top teams, but I don't think that's going to be the case. This new generation, I'm confident that they're going to find that new offensive power that sometimes has been lacking, and also find that balance and traditional Italian fortitude in the back. 10 shots, only 4 on target. France converted 3 of their 6. So the effectivity was the difference in this one.
Well, now let's talk about a team that has done pretty well when it comes to generational talent, when it comes to transforming or evolving, if you will. How about in Group D, España? Spain facing Switzerland. Then again, you talk about the new blood, right? The Nico Williamses, the Lamine Jamals. Spain, so far, so good.
I mean, you can see that is the best team in the world right now. It wasn't as easy as you would think. My prediction was that Spain was going to win 3-1. It was a 3-2, almost there. But you could see how Brian Zaragoza was a difference maker for Spain. Jeremy Pino also was an important player. Shaqiri scored late for Switzerland, always for Switzerland. Always the highlights. Total domination from Spain. 21 shots, 60% possession. Switzerland counterattack clearly. That was the strategy for this game. It wasn't enough. Spain still the best team right now.
Sherdan Shaqiri, can you believe I did 2 Chicago Fire games in the last 2 years and he was injured both times? So I never got to enjoy the magic of one of Switzerland's greatest.
And he still plays at a very, very high level.
100%. Now let's talk about 2 other teams that might not be the strongest there, but they could be dark horses. Let's talk about Group A with Scotland and Poland. What can you tell me about this game, Marcelino?
I mean, Scotland is going clearly on a run. They have won the last 2 games. A great result for the Scottish team. I love this new formation that they put up at the back. Some of the key notes that we have there: John McGinn opened the scoring in the 3rd minute. Andrew Robertson, another highlight, is still in the result at the very last minute, 93 minutes of running time. Exciting game, very exciting game.
And a guy that obviously I want to see more involved as Scotland moves ahead, Ryan Gold, El Maguito. They call him the Scottish Messi. He's done great in MLS. Hopefully Scotland can bring him more into the fold moving ahead. So Scotland with 16 shots and obviously dominating this match against Poland. So the UEFA Nations League is bringing us great, exciting matchups. Big names already booked for the quarterfinals. So now let's shift our focus to South America. How about CONMEBOL? A lot of teams are going to qualify here, right? Yeah. With the new format with 48 teams, now we have 5 teams advancing and then another team at the 6th that will be playing an intercontinental playoff. So when we talk about locks, I would say Argentina is going to be up there for sure.
Up to before we started the match day 12, Argentina is leading with 22 points. Despite not having the best form in the last 2 games, Uruguay and Colombia are right behind them, 2nd and 3rd place with 19 points, and Brazil sits at 4th, improving. You know, not too long ago we were talking about maybe a World Cup without Brazil. I think that's long in the rearview mirror. I think Brazil is in up trajectory, and they might win the 1st place.
It's interesting with Brazil. It's like the country song would say, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That draw against Venezuela after accruing 2 consecutive wins was sort of a fallout for them, especially playing with one more guy than on the pitch. So we'll see what happens with Brazil, but they're definitely a team to follow. A battle that I would like to focus on as well, who's going to qualify for that intercontinental playoff, because I think the top 5 is pretty much set. But what happens there when you put Venezuela there,
Ecuador,
Bolivia, who moved to El Alto, 2.5 miles or 2,500 miles above sea level. They're doing pretty well there. So I think, that's the battle. I think when you talk about Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Colombia, and perhaps Ecuador, you can lock those teams there. Yeah. But Venezuela, Bolivia, Peru, Chile, those teams are pretty tight there in that battle for that.
Yeah, I think that the spot is right there between Ecuador and Venezuela. I think that's what's going to happen. But let's take a look at what happened on match day 12 of the World Cup qualifiers of CONMEBOL.
It's now time to talk about CONMEBOL at the World Cup qualifiers, and let's go all the way to Salvador, the Fontanova Arena, where Brazil got a really good point against Uruguay, considering the fact that Uruguay is now number 2, right below Argentina in the CONMEBOL table. I know that the top 5 is pretty well defined. It's just a matter of seeing who's going to be on top. I think there's a lot of pride involved as well. But what do you think about Brazil? I mean, it seemed that Dorival Jr. was able to right the ship, but they've been inconsistent in the last few weeks.
Without a doubt, Francisco, this Eliminatoria Sudamericana is getting really, really tight. Like we mentioned earlier in the show, it seemed like Brazil didn't have the tools to show that level, that dominating level that normally they show in this World Cup qualifier. Argentina is definitely eating their lunch, but they're looking better and better with each game. We saw in this last game with this result 1-1 with Uruguay. Like we said last week, Uruguay is a very difficult team. They will make it very hard to play against them, and this was the case.
When it comes to Argentina, they were coming from a disappointing loss against Paraguay. To me, one of the teams that can pull an upset anytime. The Guaranis have been playing very strong football. This time around, they're able to turn things around. A 1-0 result, a tight win for Argentina, but it seems like the Albiceleste is back. I don't have any doubt that they're going to be, as low as we can get with top 2, to be honest with you. But I'm confident that Argentina, with Messi, when he can still bring to the table, they're going to go all the way to the World Cup, top of the table in CONMEBOL.
together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek. As I was
that's what your
looking down
grandma
and did
does,
not
right?
know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Hey football fans, welcome back to this latest edition of Latin Nation's Golazo Today. I'm your host Francisco X Rivera. Now it's time to dive right into our extended fire picks. Let's start with MLS, the Hudson River Derby. NYCFC will be facing the Red Bulls. So all the fans from Jersey will be crossing the Lincoln Tunnel and going to the Bronx. Marcelino, what do you think about this surprising matchup? Everyone thought this was going to be perhaps Columbus against Cincinnati. It's not happening.
That was the idea that I had, but that's not the case. I think this is going to be a tough battle. Santiago Rodriguez and Alonso Martinez from New York City Football Club are going to be key players. They have a great form, but I think this time around the momentum is for New York Red Bulls. Emil Forsberg and Lewis Morgan are playing at a very high level. The way they advance in this series show a lot of grit, so I think they're going to take the win.
So one important thing to mention as well about this format that was installed last year in the MLS playoffs, one game only for these semifinals, Marcelino.
Yes.
So as we said, all the fans from Jersey will have to move to the Bronx, and it's going to be interesting how this game is held at Yankee Stadium. It's going to be exciting, definitely. Can't wait to see what happens there.
A very, very exciting game that I think that, Red Bulls is going to win. They have the momentum. What about the West Coast, LAFC?
Well, let's go back to 2019. Do you think that could happen again this season?
Oh man, this is one of those games that you do not want to face. Like PTSD is clear. These players are gonna come out thinking. But the beauty of it is that this LAFC is a completely different team. There's very few. I think it's Carlos Vela and Nelly Segura, the only two players that are left from that squad. So I'm guessing that Bouanga, Timothy Tillman, Bogus, they're gonna come out hungry for this game. They've been, some of them have the international duty, so they might be having some tired legs versus Seattle that has pretty much 22 days resting. But I think LAFC is gonna take the result. They're gonna win decisively 3-1 at home.
Well, Seattle has more of those players. I mean, they have not changed their squad as much. Guys like Stefan Fry, Noho Tolu, Jordan Morris, obviously, etc. So it's going to be quite a matchup. Let's go back to the Eastern Conference, a team that we did not expect to see here, Atlanta United. They won that dramatic game against Montreal, then moved on to the next round. After that wildcard win, they took care of Miami. Do you think they still have the power to get past Orlando?
I'm going to piggyback on our good friend Chiva's prediction. He was here sitting on this chair when he said it. Atlanta might kick Miami of the competition. They did. Congrats to Chiva on that. But I'm going to follow that line. I think that when you achieve that type of result, it's very hard for you to lose, right? Like the level of confidence, especially with some key players, Facundo Torres, Margin Ojeda on Orlando, they are really, really good. But the level that Gustan is going to show after that heroic series against Miami, 3 games where he was on Penero, like that, he was so good. So I think that Atlanta is going to take this game.
Brad Gustan could very well be the MVP of the playoffs so far with everything.
If they take it to the final, he should be.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Gustan, who, by the way, started with Chivas USA back in 2005 under our good friend, Martin El Pulpo Zúñiga. And then we talk about Chivas USA, so let's stay in Southern California. How about the LA Galaxy? The most consistent team in the Western Conference this season. Gabriel Peck recently named the best newcomer in MLS. They will have Ricky Push running around midfield and releasing those shots from long range. They will be facing Eric Ramsey and Minnesota United, one of the deepest teams in MLS.
Yeah, Minnesota is always a tough competitor. They have, as you said, one of the strongest teams. But to my disgrace, this Galaxy team is off the hook. I gotta be honest.
You had to say it.
I have to, I have to be journalistic about it. They have one of the best MLS teams. The way they play, they are so vertical. Jovelik, Gabriel Peck, Painsil, all of them. And in the back line, they have a very experienced back line also. So I feel like although Minnesota has also key players that might make it difficult, Galaxy should win this easily. I'm going to say that 3-0. After the 9 goals that they score in the series, 3 sounds conservative.
Yeah, the only thing that I would have going for Minnesota is their momentum. They had a great second half, probably one of the top 3 teams in the Western Conference in the second half. So let's see what they can do against the almighty LA Galaxy. And finally, the NWSL Championship, Orlando Pride taking on the Washington Spirit. What's your take here?
Oh, man, I think I'm going to go with Marta. Marta is in those runs where you just have to finish with a championship. I wouldn't be surprised that she wants to retire after this game if she wins, because the career that she had, this will be just the cherry on top. She has never won the championship in the United States. She came here to do so, and I believe that this is her opportunity. She's not going to get any closer. I'm going with Orlando. They're going to win.
Okay, football fans, it's time to say goodbye in this edition of Latin Nation's Golazo today, but I want to thank our great production team for putting everything together, and also you for watching us every week on Latin Nation and SportsGrid. I'm your host, Francisco X Rivera. Until next time.
Hey there, welcome to week 12 of Beat the Odds. We got a big show, you guys. Now, last week, Mariah mocked me saying my outfit looked like a fisherman costume. Very hurtful. So today, we're embracing the pain, and let's go fishing for some winners. Beat the Odds starts right now.
From our Las Vegas studios, this is Beat the Odds, sponsored by Superbook at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino, and powered by SportsGrid.
All right, welcome inside our Las Vegas fishing hole. I'm Dave, the Fish Slayer Hall. Do you feel guilty yet?
No, I won't feel guilty at all. Honestly, I'm glad that I inspired this look. I'm Mariah Janos. Have you actually ever caught anything?
I got something now.
Either of these?
Oh no, it's Jack.
Oh, you don't.
I don't want that.
No. Let's see if we can reel in something that's actually useful when it comes to this weekend. It's week 12 of the pro football season, and we've got another packed show for you. And maybe we'll put these fishing rods to good use. I don't know.
Let's find out. Coming up, Teddy is talking teams coming off brutal losses. Jack is talking about a feast. Clearly got turkey on his mind already. Plus our player prop showdown and best bets.
And I'll be hanging with Brandon Marshall again, talking about some of the brutal losses from week 11 and where those teams stand. Our friends from SportsGrid are here too.
Hey Vegas, we're excited to beat the odds with you guys once again. Coming up, Joe Lisi and I will look at a letdown from Travis Kelce and KC and an awesome game from Denver's rookie, Bo Nix, and what it all means moving forward. So sit tight and we'll join you guys in just a bit. It's back out to the crew in Vegas.
All right, back with the boys. How we doing today, guys?
And there with that network anchor possibility.
Easy go.
Sure, your daughter's super proud of this
That
one.
was shot years ago.
Well, you're right, though. We are going to be fishing for some winners because you head in the middle of November. I mean, you've got to dig a little bit deeper, not just as easy as playing the good teams.